We have studied in earlier videos how the effects of throw can squeeze the balls offline during set ball situations. And, of course, the benefits this knowledge can bring in creating spectacular trick shots. It is also true that, apart from full ball and very thin contacts, the throw phenomenon influences nearly every other type of stroke as well. It disproves the common belief that to pot a ball, it must be struck at the point furthest from the pocket, shown here from overhead. As Jason is now demonstrating, due to the squeeze, this tactic is guaranteed to cut the object ball too thickly every time. Even if the cue action is perfect, the color will still be thrown off course. Good players are only able to pot angled balls consistently because they unconsciously allow for the throw effect and aim for a thinner contact. Still not convinced? Here's the proof. The lineup of 3 reds is connected to a perfect yellow set aimed precisely at the far corner pocket. If the cue ball was then played into the base of the reds, in effect striking the yellow set at an angle, the pocket-bound ball is predictably squeezed away to the side. No surprises there then. But if we were to set up the shot again, this time, however, removing the first yellow in the formation, we can now prove that the throw factor is still present on angled shots. In close-up, it should be apparent that as the end red breaks free, it will occupy exactly the spot vacated by the removed color and hence strike the remaining yellow at the precise angle advocated by most billiard coaches. Remarkably, the target yellow still misses by the same margin as before. In fact, the only way to pot a ball using the furthest contact point assumption is to employ the use of outside spin on the cue ball. As Jason is demonstrating here, this side spin reduces the effects of friction as the 2 balls collide. In simplistic terms, the throw element just doesn't have a chance to alter the expected course of the balls as they fly straight ahead to the pockets. Once you have become proficient when adopting the use of side spin, you can actually turn the factor of throw to your advantage. Take potting balls along the rails, for example. Using side spin to negate the squeeze element would almost be compulsory if the cue ball was the same size as the colors. Otherwise, they would be thrown into the cushion on every attempt and the pot would be missed. In most pubs today, however, the white is 1/8 of an inch smaller, so if the object ball and side cushion are contacted simultaneously, the target color can be squeezed along the rail without using side. Our final word on the throw phenomenon leads us to a clever little wager that perfectly highlights the concept of squeeze. Set up a 3-ball plant with 2 yellows and a red, as we have just seen. Most would bet on the red being a cast iron certainty to be planted along the rail to the far corner. The reality is, however, because the plant is angled, the red will be thrown into the cushion and bounce wide of the pocket. The secret is to wet the contact point between the red and the nearest yellow. Throw is caused by friction, and any moisture introduced to the pool ball reduces the friction between the two colors to practically zero levels, and the plant will be made every time. This ploy wouldn't be allowed in a match, of course, but there's nothing in the rulebook that says you can't use your superior knowledge of the physics of the game to win a well-deserved drink or two. The shots we are about to discuss in these next sections of the video are the hardest types of stroke you will ever have to attempt on a pool table, and are normally within the realms of only the very best exponents of this difficult sport. That said, they are also the most satisfying to play when successful, and are, without doubt, amongst the most spectacular to watch. The first skill we shall examine regarding the use of advanced types of spin is called the reverse side shot. To produce the desired effect consistently, a player must learn how to engage both backspin and sidespin at the same time. If we imagine the white to be a clock face once more, the areas in which the cue ball must be struck to generate reverse spin are either 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock, depending on which side you actually wish to apply. Confused? Well, don't worry. Perhaps the best way to illustrate the point would be to let the professional tackle another practice routine. Don't forget to keep an eye on the cue ball graphic to see where the white was contacted for each shot. From the overhead camera, it's obvious that the pot on the red is simple. It's dead straight into the corner, no problem at all. The trouble is the black, frozen on the bottom rail and a long way from the last red. How on earth will the professional gain reasonable position on it? What about a topspin stroke? Disastrous. This is probably the worst possible option to choose. The white, of course, simply followed the red straight into the corner pocket. In a match, that mistake would give 2 shots away to your opponent and almost certainly cost the game. The stop shot, perhaps? Undoubtedly an improvement on the topspin stroke, but as we can see from overhead, the only real option on the black would be to play safe or attempt the very risky long double to the top corner. Hardly what could be called reasonable position, so the stop shot is out. The screw shot sounds more promising, doesn't it? The white will be drawn down the table to presumably land somewhere by the black, right? Wrong. The professional played a perfectly sound backspin stroke, of course, but as the red was dead straight, there was only one logical path for the white to follow after bouncing off the side cushion, and, unfortunately, that path was directly to the far center pocket. Another game lost. Topspin, stop shot, and backspin. All not much use to a player in this instance. So what can be done? The answer lies in moving away from striking the cue ball on the imaginary center lines and playing the reverse side stroke. Fantastic! We've managed to gain perfect position to the 8 ball at last, leaving a simple tap-in to win the frame. The graphic tells us Jason struck at roughly 7 o'clock. This left-hand side is effectively turned into reverse running side as the white fizzes down the table at a much wider angle to reach the black. To further help you understand the benefits of this complex stroke, try this practice exercise. By once more setting up an easy yellow, Jason can demonstrate 3 different shots designed to illustrate the varying effects possible with reverse side. Firstly, striking the white at 7 o'clock to apply left-hand side spin. As anticipated, although not so firm a stroke as before, the engaged running side throws the cue ball from the cushion at a greater angle than its natural reflection. Next, the much simpler screw shot. The computer has told us that Jason is now striking at 6 o'clock. As we switch to overhead, the cue ball bounces off the cushion with no imparted side and comes to rest. Finally, a shot we have not yet encountered and probably not such a common use of the reverse side skill. By striking at 5 o'clock, we can notice that the cue ball's route to the cushion is the same as always, but the low right-hand contact has caused what we know as check side to occur. If we replay the shot again, we can clearly see how the cue ball's angle is narrowed significantly, slowing the pace of the shot and resulting in a very different position from the previous 2 examples. Don't forget, as many do, the effect of the side spins we have just witnessed will be reversed if played from the opposite end of the table, as demonstrated here. Of course, all the shots we have analyzed involved a straight pot, and hence a full ball contact. Although the consequences of any spin applied is maximized in these situations, the benefits of combining backspin and side spin in the same stroke can also be utilized when playing angled shots to gain good position for the next ball. These types of challenges occur all over the table, and the number of different combinations are practically endless. To highlight a few, we'll watch the professional in action once more. As we study the final outcome in each of Jason's practice examples, it should be apparent that if you can master the reverse side stroke to this extent, you will have added yet another powerful string to your bow and have a definite advantage over many less skilled opponents. It's worth pointing out that when the cue ball does not strike the cushion immediately behind it, the shot is not strictly reverse side, as the engaged spin is not really reversing the white's direction. This does not mean the shot is any the less difficult or impressive, however. It's simply a matter of terminology. Although the adoption of topspin and sidespin combined together cannot offer quite such a wide range of positional opportunities as the screw and side previously presented, they are nevertheless an extremely useful tactic to employ in certain instances. Take the situation facing the professional in this next frame, for example. The penultimate yellow is obviously quite a simple 3/4 ball pot to the corner pocket. It's how to achieve position on the final color that could pose a problem. Merely engaging right-hand side, as Jason is demonstrating now, would not be too bad, but as we switch to various camera angles, we can see that whereas the resulting shot left on the last yellow is not impossible, it's not very easy either, is it? A certain amount of stun has also been imparted on the cue ball with the right-hand contact, which has significantly altered the desired direction of the shot and shortened the length of the stroke by a good 12 inches. If, on the other hand, Jason decides to strike the white ball at about 1 o'clock, illustrated now on the cue ball graphic, instead of 3 o'clock as he did before, he is now combining topspin with the applied right-hand side, and the improvement is obvious. We can clearly see that the extra forward momentum injected into the cue ball, together with the side spin, has created a much better positional stroke for the tricky yellow on the side rail. Because the slight trace of stun has been eliminated, the white reached further along the top cushion before allowing the side spin to be deployed to full effect. And, as expected, a frame-winning clearance soon follows. If you ever find yourself in a snooker, the sensible option is usually to bounce the cue ball off one or more cushions to hit the intended object ball. When the target is in the jaws, like this, it shouldn't prove too taxing. What if all the possible escape routes are blocked, however, and there are no apparent paths available? Well, as a last resort, you might choose to consider a more direct method and tackle a swerve shot. Last resort is definitely the correct phrase here, because not only is this style of stroke extremely hard to gauge with any consistent accuracy, it is also very awkward to play in the first place. In spite of the fact the professional makes the feat appear straightforward, curves and swerves are justly regarded as the most difficult club in the bag, so to speak, and should be approached with the utmost caution and respect. To begin with, the swerve goes against many of the fundamental techniques and basic foundations of the game we have discussed in the past. As opposed to the standard cue action, in these instances the butt of the cue should be raised to allow the stroke to be played with a distinct downward blow. The key point to remember is that the exact degree of angle in the shot governs the amount of swerve applied to the cue ball. The steeper the angle, the more the white should bend. Most players will also find that their cue action has to be shortened to achieve the desired curving effect on the cue ball. To do this, of course, you must move your grip further up the butt of the cue. This will slightly alter the feel and balance of the cue, and you will have to learn to compensate for this as you play the shot. The alternative is to use a telescopic model similar to the professionals, which allows the cue to be contracted quickly to play the swerve more comfortably. Because it is necessary to strike the cue ball near its topmost edge, as the computer graphic is now showing us, it is important to raise your bridge hand accordingly. If we zoom in, we can see that the bridge itself consists of the pads of the 4 fingers pressed firmly to the base, whilst the thumb has been cocked high enough for a downward stroke to be played. Back on a wider lens, it's clear the pro's objective is to curl around the obstructing yellows to pot the black. Perfect. As we watch the shot again from several viewpoints, notice how the white can be encouraged to arc past the offending object balls and just clip the 8 spot into the pocket. How does it work? Well, the actual strike needed to produce the impressive swerves is really just an exaggerated form of one of the 4 sidespin strokes we have previously covered. Obviously, the bed of the table prevents much of a follow-through on these occasions, so you will require a short, snappy punch of an impact in order to bite into the cue ball and generate enough spin to bend the white. As we watch Jason execute a final medley of curve shots, notice how he hits the cue ball fairly hard, as though moving a ball many times heavier. That said, don't make the mistake of playing with too much force, otherwise the cue ball will not have time to complete the anticipated arc. The Massé itself is probably the most famous of all pool shots. In most people's eyes, getting the cue ball to spin in a tight circle seems to go against the laws of physics. They find it fascinating that the white can start off in one direction, yet finish up going in another. To play a shot of this caliber takes a great deal of skill indeed. So, if you master this most advanced of techniques, you can count yourself amongst the very best. First, get your stance straight. The correct way to stand for most shots is usually as the professional is now demonstrating. Feet planted firmly and the body leaning into the stroke with the chin well down on the cue. For the Massé, however, you must stand virtually upright, actually sitting on the edge of the table if you prefer. This will allow you to hold the cue almost perpendicular to the table, which is important for this degree of swerve. Notice also how Jason's grip on the cue has been reversed. This is not crucial to the success of the stroke, but most players find it slightly less awkward. As with all swerves, and especially Massés, a certain amount of strain has to be exerted on the bridging fingers to maintain a strong balance. Providing you don't shoot too hard, by then striking at 5 o'clock on the cue ball in this case, it should now be possible to bend the white right around the red to pot the black in the center. Amazing. Other titles available in the Blue Moon Leisure Play Pool video series include Give It Your Best Shot, Learn How to Address the Table and Adopt the Perfect Stance, forming the correct hand grip and why this can improve your cue action. Bridging in awkward situations. The secrets behind selecting the best equipment. How to conquer the basic straight pot during match play. Plus 16 truly amazing trick shots. The second volume of the Play Pool series, Playing the Game to Win, covers the important break shot and how it can win matches. Angled shots, when and how to play them. Discover why chalking the cue tip is an important factor in controlling the white, especially when learning the art of backspin. Playing with topspin and the effects on the cue ball. Plants, doubles, and how to work out the angles with some impressive cannons. 100 great trick shots performed by one of the world's top pool players. Non-stop action from start to finish. This fourth volume in the series is probably the finest collection of tricks ever seen on video. The sequel to Play Pool 100 Great Trick Shots. This 5th edition Trick Shots Explained teaches players in clear and precise detail how to set up the best shots for themselves. All the secrets are revealed with expert tuition from Jason Tornado Twist. Featuring the latest computer-generated graphics to help iron out any potential problems in the troubleshooting section, Trick Shots Explained guarantees to make any league player a local celebrity. The unique telescopic cues featured throughout the Play Pool video series offers any player unrivaled quality and versatility. Missing shots through overstretching can now be eliminated, as the professional is demonstrating by simply extending the concealed mechanism. Any shot is always within reach. Restricted space a problem in your club? Not anymore. For further information on this unique range of cues, aluminium cases and accessories, please contact Blue Moon Leisure.